welcome back to the studio here at Avanti. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Do you just want to remind our audience what you guys cover?
Okay, International Friends is a small group travel specialist. So we do guided tours from London to different parts of the UK. We focus on not just seeing the main sites, an awful lot into seeing the hidden gems that big coaches can't get to. We also do regular or daily excursions to Harry Potter Studio, which is the only coach tour we do because of demand. Everything else is normally small group for day trips. And we offer pre and post cruise transfers and day trips as well. But it's all focused on smaller groups, not just going to what people perceive to be the major destinations. There's always something slightly different that we try and add on there to make it a bit of a different day out.
So over the years, how do you think that International Friends has adopted to the changing traveler trends and customer needs?
I think what we started doing, the small groups, funnily enough, COVID has sped the move up to small groups. Pre-COVID, the major market was still coach tours, and it still is to a degree. Small groups were perceived to be, I think perhaps maybe too expensive and purely for the top 1%, 2%, 3%, the top earners. I think since COVID, people now focus a lot more on the experience as opposed to ticking things off a list. So it's much more important for them to really feel the destination they're going to really experience it, to get involved and to see things that they didn't necessarily plan. But now it's becoming more and more popular, the small group type of travel.
Yeah, we're seeing that too. Just, that it's a great midpoint between the shared coach tours and the private guiding.
Oh, exactly that. Yeah, no, typically 16 people will be on one of our vehicles, and it's a nice mix. If you want a day out in a different country, and to be able to chat to people is a nice part of the day.
Can you share a little bit about the selection and training process of your guides?
Typically, funnily enough, if you were to look back at our TripAdvisor reviews 15, 16 years ago, you'll still see the main core group of names. We generally focus on long term. So they go through a fairly strict training process first. They then have to work a set number of tours with our guides before they're allowed to guide on their own. And then at that point, once they're comfortable and once they've proved that they're not simply there to reel off information from a piece of paper and they're there to engage and answer questions and be part of the day, they then start guiding on their own with a group. But it's because of the level of engagement of a small group tour, if you're on a coach, you generally, it's a great day out, I'm not saying it's wrong, but you generally have a script because you can't answer questions from 50, 60 people all during the day. Whereas in the small group, the guides have to be engaged. They have to be discussing things with the customers, answering questions they're not prepared for. So it's a fairly strict process to get somebody ready to be able to take a small group tour.
Yeah, I think it's very memorable, the guide service. If you get a great guide, it can really make your vacation sing.
Oh, completely, because it's very much part of the day. You're not just going to destination A, B, and C. You want to do something a bit different on the day or a bit extra. You pass something, you ask about that. The guides are heavily involved in the day.
You mentioned pre and post cruise. We know that many of our travel advisors, their clients love traveling the world by cruise ship. And I think pre and post is a great way to really introduce people that maybe are a little bit shyer about exploring on their own. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about how your pre and post cruise transfers with that combined historical sites like the Tower of London can really enhance a vacation?
Yeah, I mean, it really changes the transfer day into a day trip day because typically if you're sailing on a day or going back to the airport at the end of the day, you would simply go from A to B, whether it's the cruise terminal to the airport to a cruise terminal. So we do day trips focused on, if they go from London to Southampton, for example, we'll do a stop in Stonehenge on the way down. Or if they're doing, next year we're launching an early entry private tour of the Tower of London. So you do London, leave your hotel, private early entry to the Tower, then to the cruise terminal. So it's very much about adding an extra day's holiday as opposed to simply transferring.
Yeah, I think that could be such a great differentiator for a travel advisor as well, that really wants to show their customers their value and how they can really help put together a customized itinerary to be more than, these transactions, point A to point B, to really more of an experience and making every moment matter.
Yeah, and you wouldn't necessarily know. For example, if you're flying out from from Heathrow back to the States, generally the flights are after 5, 6 o'clock at night. If you're on the cruise ship, you're being emptied off the cruise ship at 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. If you go direct to the airport, you're sitting there for 6, 7 hours. And on the way to the airport, you're passing Salisbury, maybe Winchester, Windsor Castle, Stonehenge. You might as well stop there and have a look at it rather than sit in Terminal 3 lounge area or Terminal 3 Starbucks. So it's, and similarly, if you're going to a London hotel, you can't check in before 2, 3, 4 o'clock sometimes.
Right.
So why go straight from the terminal to the hotel, from the cruise terminal to the hotel, when you can see stuff on the way?
That's true. Do you want to talk a little bit about how International Friends sustainability practices has impacted the company culture or your business practices?
Oh, completely. We've just been awarded. We're in the process of being awarded for the green tourism. So each of our excursions, there's a list of not attractions, shops, restaurants in the destination, and if they follow sustainability practices, then we recommend them to customers. It's also very important to use local businesses on your tour. You can't just take a coach or a group load of people in and take them out again. So we promote the use of local guides. We promote the use of lunch in destination. We promote the use of investing in the local area. In terms of the travel, it's slightly more difficult because we're still moving to electric, but we do have hybrid vehicles. So the move in terms of the travel and sustain, that will be a bit slower because these vehicles travel a long distance,
right.
And the infrastructure in the UK is not there, but it has to get there because we have to be working on this. So that's a slightly slower process.
I think it's a great goal to have, and it's incremental, right? But I think sustainability in travel is just going to become much more of a discussion topic.
Oh, completely, yeah.
Because, of course, we want all of the generations to be able to enjoy these beautiful places in the world.
It is, and it's also the older generation of staff recognise, but perhaps aren't so quick and active to do, whereas the younger staff are incredibly good at it, and then our customers in the future will be these people.
Definitely. Yeah. Sustainability means more than just the environment. It's really people's livelihoods, highlighting the best that the destination has to offer. And ultimately, as travel professionals, we want to leave destinations in better shape than when we arrived.
Exactly that. And I do think the small group promotes that as well, because there's a lot of kickback now in the industry, whether it's a cruise ship emptying thousands of people into Venice on one day, or whether it's big coaches going into small towns and outnumbering the number of the population there. So small groups is very much geared up to allowing these attractions to survive and to thrive for years to come, because you're not destroying the destination. Right. You are very much enhancing working with the locals. It is long-term tourism, small group tourism.
Agreed. So I'm sure you've had the opportunity to travel quite a bit with your company. Has there been any standout tours or destinations that you'd like to recommend to our audience?
Standout tour. I mean, everybody that comes to the UK, there are certain things they need to see, but you can see them things alongside other sites. So if you go to Stonehenge, for example, you can include Laycock, you can include Avebury, which is the largest stone circle in Europe. You don't just have to do Stonehenge. There are, the biggest selling tour at the moment in the UK is Harry Potter Studio, which is of course very popular. That's a great one. We recommend people book early for that one. And next year, for the first time ever, we're launching a food and drink focused tour, because the food and drink in the UK is we believe, massively improved from the historical perception of food in the UK. So we're launching a food and drink tour down to Gusbourne Vineyard down in Kent. So I think food and drink tourism in the UK will now become a product, going to places that weren't on the tourist trail before. So the key thing, I think, is don't just have your list when you go to the UK. Don't just go, right, London. Go and see a hidden gem. Go and see something different that other people haven't seen. Otherwise, you're just seeing the same as everyone. So there's lots of destinations out there you can go to that are just a bit different.
And I'm just going to leave you with one last question, which is one of my passions is really professional development and helping educate people in the travel sector, because when I joined the travel industry, I don't think people had the perception that it was really a place where you can make a career. Do you have any tips or advice for individuals who are aspiring to build a career in travel and tourism?
Completely. I think the first bit of advice is don't view it as a holiday job, which is a bit odd because you're saying it's a tourism job. It is a genuine career, but it's an incredibly sociable career. It's an incredibly rewarding career, and you're going to enhance your own well, your own lifestyle, your own knowledge, because you're going to see things that most people working in one destination will never see. You are going to, as part of your job, you're going to see parts of the world that you would never have come across. You know, you're going to be surprised almost on a weekly, monthly basis about some of the beautiful, amazing places out there. So every day you go in, you will, not every day maybe, yeah, each month you go in, you're going to see something new, and you're not going to be prepared for it, and it's going to make you feel amazing. And then you're going to feel rewarded because you're not just doing the same thing every day. And tourism changes. You're not just going to sell the same thing to the same people all the time. You're not going in and doing a job that's monotonous, that's the same thing. It is constantly changing, constantly evolving, constantly getting better, I think. And if you want a career that you genuinely look forward to going to work and it's genuinely going to be different year on year, then tourism is one for you.
I completely agree. I think, the tourism industry, the tagline should be never a dull moment.
Exactly right, yeah. And it's not a holiday. It's not a short-term holiday job. It is genuinely. When you learn about tourism and you can give that knowledge to a customer, you enhance that customer's life because they're going to do things they never imagined on their own. And you're making a massive difference to people if you can do that.
That's beautiful words from Jimmy. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we can inspire more travelers in the years to come.
Super.